Hello, and welcome to the Tripper Chain, a weekly podcast hosted by Jackie Robinson and produced by Dana Bach, with some of the top thought leaders in the areas of voting rights, intergenerational conversation, news, and feature interviews with industry leaders. Our goal is to provide listeners with key takeaways and actionable advice for having a better understanding of the people we live with. We focus on several areas critical to getting along with others in a diverse world. By you listening to our Tripper Change podcast, we hope to create a better world for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, now and into the future. Let's start the show. Hello, and welcome once again to a Trip of Change podcast, the Jackie Robinson Show. I'm Jackie Robinson, and I am here tonight with a special guest, Kim Averhart, a travel agent, and we'll be talking to her about some travel tips and some things, how you can get involved in the travel agency. And so that's coming up shortly. But before we do that, I want to encourage you all to go out and support Trip of Change. You can support our podcast by signing up at tripperchange.com. Also, we're on Instagram at Trip of Change. And again, YouTube, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot of good pre-recorded videos out there of a special guests that we've had. And so go on out there and check out our YouTube channel. Also, sign up for our newsletter. We send out a newsletter periodically to let people know what's going on with Trip of Change, the places we visited, places we want to visit here in the local area of Atlanta and various places in the United States, and hopefully soon international. So go ahead and get on our email list. Also, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Healthful Essence, our Tripper Change podcast sponsor. Their website is healthfulessence.com, and they have some of the best vegan, vegetarian, soul food that you can find in the Atlanta area. And with summer coming, you should check out their specialty drinks that they have. They have sea moss, they have spirulina, they have all kinds of drinks that are handmade, nothing processed, no preservatives, no additives, all handmade with fresh fruits. Okay, so that's Healthful Essence, our sponsor of the Triple Change podcast. And if you order online through the Clover app, you'll get a discount. So again, check out Princess and Quadro over at Healthful Essence. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things because tonight's episode deals with travel. And there are some things going on in travel that we should be aware of. And I think maybe I'll kind of bypass that for now. I'm looking at it and I think maybe after I get a chance to talk to Kim, we can go back and look at those news stories. But before we do that, I also want to mention that if you are thinking about traveling to a different country, especially international country, you might want to invest in this book called The Passport Book. The Passport Book, rather, tells you everything you want to know about a particular country. It tells you their history. It tells you their economy. It talks about how to become a citizen, the history of a country, like whether or not there have been some drug wars, Americans in Mexico, real estate laws if you're thinking about buying property. So I highly recommend this book. It's called The Passport Book if you are considering moving out of the country. As we know, there are a lot of people who are somewhat frustrated with things that are going on here in the United States, and they are finding ways to become expats, or expatriates in other countries. And so, you know, we talk about, is it safe to travel to some of these places? What about the virus? And so maybe we'll get into some of that this evening when I talk to Miss Averhart. Um, but before I do that, I want to talk about something of interest. Something else I want to talk about. But let me just bring Kim in because I know she can relate to what I'm getting ready to talk about. Hey, Kim.
Hey Jackie, how are you?
I'm good to see you. I had
Good
to
to
get
see
that
you.
administrative stuff out of the way. You know, that's how we do the podcast. We do that other stuff first, and then we bring in the guest, and that's you, Kim Averhart,
Well,
a
thank
travel
you
lady.
for having me.
Absolutely. And I'll talk about how we met. But girl, I want to talk about these flip flops first because we're in the summer season where people are wearing open toe shoes, and you have to be very careful with the type of shoes that you wear, especially when you're traveling. you
Absolutely.
you have to have some good traveling shoes. Would you not agree?
I agree 100% with these flip flops traveling. That's a good tip. Have some good traveling shoes, gym shoes.
Gym shoes.
Get you some gym shoes. No time to be looking cute.
Yeah.
You can look
I-
cute with some gym shoes
you
on. But
listen-
flip
right.
flops is not the thing that you want to have on when you're traveling. It's funny that you're
Absolutely.
talking about flip flops because I told my husband, no, I can't wear these. I said, because I don't know if I have to run. I might have to
That's
run through the airport.
That's right. You may have to run. You see all these people running. I'm like, where are they running? They ain't, don't ask no questions. Let's just get to running.
You gotta run.
Gotta run. That's right. Well, that's true. And you're absolutely right. You try to put some outfits together and try to be cute. Well, you could be cute in some gym shoes, okay? So put your outfit together to match your gym shoes. Let your gym shoes be the focal point. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Don't get caught in New York without gym shoes.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's where I met you. But before I go into that, I found this article, Kim, that talks about the do's and don'ts of flip flops, because I know, especially for older people, seniors, boomers like me,
Mhm.
our feet is not the same as it used to be when we were younger. And one thing I did also found out, Kim, is that the cushion on the bottom of older people's feet, you start to lose the cushion.
Yes.
Okay. And so your feet is actually touching the concrete or touching the ground a lot more in your older age than when you were younger. So you have to wear more supported shoes.
Mhm.
But we love those flip flops. So it says, do shop for flip flops made of high quality, soft leather. Leather minimizes the potential for blisters and other types of irritation. So we can't be buying those cheap shoes.
The cheap 50 cent.
Can't buy those dollar flip flops.
You can't buy the dollar flip flops. You got to
And
be.
look, and it's not a dollar anymore; it's $1.25 now. Yeah. And it says, like, when you do find some good flip flop, bend them, okay, and bend them to see if the front part near the ball of the feet, whether that bends.
Oh,
Yeah, if they're stiff, that's not good.
they
That's
not
not
good.
no.
That's a good. That's good information.
Right. And I do that. I bend them, but I had been bending them in the middle. He said, no, bend them near the ball of the feet to see if you're going to get some traction or
Okay.
get some movement. Um, don't rewear flip flops year after year. Inspect older pairs for wear. If they show signs of severe wear, discard them. You have your favorite pair of flip flops, but if that back of their heel,
It's starting
is
to flatten out.
just barely there.
They throw them away.
It's time to throw them away. Also, I know this for myself, is that that little part that goes between the toes can irritate that area. And so you have to, massage your feet, put oil on it, and make sure that that area is not irritated in any kind of way.
That is
Um,
great information. That I think it's called that little tongue. Is that what they call it? That's
yeah, the
right there.
tongue that goes in
Yeah,
between the
yeah,
toes. Right, right. You buy a pair that's too small or too big, and it's just,
and
you
it's
got
rubbing.
cheap ones, and it rubs. And so,
Okay,
now, if you just can't live without that pair, at least massage your feet and keep it oiled, or keep salve on it or something to keep your feet from blistering. um and one thing I know, sometimes I have my little sandals or flip-flops on open toe, and I'll go out in the garden. It said, do not go in the garden wearing flip-flops.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
You too.
I'm guilty.
Yes,
I have an herb garden, and I go out in the herb garden every morning with my flip flops on.
they say don't go. The girl might run into snakes,
Oh,
bugs, mosquitoes out there tear up your feet.
oh,
Yeah, so yeah, those
good
flip.
information. Thank you, Jackie, for that. I needed that. Oh, God.
Yes.
I can't imagine running into a snake with no flip flops on.
No, that would not be a good. That would not
That
be
would
good.
not be
Or
good.
spiders, you got to watch out for
Spiders.
spiders.
Wow.
Right. So how about those pretty feet, girl? How about those pretty feet?
Girl, you have these pretty feet, but them flip flops aren't good for them pretty feet. Not
That's
in
right.
those situations in the garden and traveling.
Well, my friend that was just here recently visiting from Washington, D.C., a shout out to Miss Yvette. She had some, what do you call them?
I know what you're talking. Birkin, is it Birkenshire?
Birkin something.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. And
Them
they were,
$100 sandals.
well, they were very nice looking.
They beautiful.
Well,
I
they
love
were
them.
black.
They are beautiful.
Right. And we bent them, and they bent properly. And yeah, so those were nice. But I know that when we did a lot of walking around, we wore our athletic shoes.
Yeah.
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 We wore our athletic shoes.
Yes.
So
that's the way to go. And you have to get a good pair of them too.
right. I know New Balance is good.
They're good. I wear A6 because of the arch. So your foot don't slide over to the side. You know how you see some shoes that's kind of slid over to the side.
Yes.
Well, my feet do that in regular, like Nikes. They don't do it with New Balance, but the A6 does me well, and the New Balance.
I have a pair of Asics. I'm very familiar with Asic Tiger. It used to be called Asic Tiger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, Asic's a good shoe. Morel is an expensive shoe, but it's supposed to be a good shoe, a good walking shoe. And New Balance, yeah, and those three.
Okay.
And
you said the other one was Morel?
Morel.
Okay.
My foot doctor recommended Morel, but
Okay.
they're kind of high. They're kind of expensive.
But if they work, it's worth buying. If
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the point of why I'm bringing up flip-flops, because once we get into talking about travel and the different places that you want to go, or you have been, or you intend to go, you have to have comfortable walking shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't plan on doing a lot of hiking or sightseeing, you're going to go out to eat, or it's inevitable that you're going to do a lot of walking. So how I met Kim, let's talk about how I met Kim. I recently, Dana and I were in New York City, and as part of our tour of visiting 8 to 9 different national parks, the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island was on the list. And so we had been to the Statue of Liberty and ended up taking the ferry over to Ellis Island. And I know Danny kept saying, do you want to go see Ellis Island? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go see Ellis Island. And so I got in there and I saw Kim, and Kim was standing there. Were you taking a video of the world map that was spinning?
I actually was taking pictures because I was trying to find the one the one globe that made a statement that just stuck to me, and I said, I'm going to stay, and I missed it. And so I was standing there, so I'm going to stand and wait for it to come back around. So I was taking pictures of each one of those globes because it had a different saying on each one of the globes about the facts of the planet, how people
Okay.
got here.
Okay. Um, I know that I saw a slave on one of the panels that came around on the globe, but I think when we touched eyes and we looked at each other, we kind of had an energy or a feeling, and we embraced and introduced
Yes,
ourselves, and it was like we both almost said it at the same time, like, yes, this is Ellis Island, but this is not the way we came.
it's not the way we came. And that's what that one globe, the fact that was on there, that one said, we all, everyone came through here willingly. And I was like, I don't know about all that. But then there was one that said everybody didn't have the same opportunity to come through Ellis Island like the others came. They were forced to come. And I was like, I didn't want to go to Ellis Island, honestly.
Well, having a travel buddy with Dana, you know, my thing was, because remember now, she was ready to leave.
Uh huh.
And I was like, no, here's the reason why. Because she has a history, she has a family, she has ancestors, she
Mm-hmm.
has people who struggled,
Mm-hmm.
to make it to America. And so my story is my story, and her story is her story. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to be able to celebrate with her, seeing how her people came through Ellis
Right,
Island.
right. Well, my husband was my travel buddy.
Okay.
And how we end up over there, I did a package to go to the Statue of Liberty and to Ellis Island. And then I was like, immigration, immigration. Well, what would be there for me? Because I know we didn't come through immigration. But when I got there, Jackie, and I'm grateful for my husband when he said, come on, let's just go and see. We walked through, and I was like, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. And then when I got to the planet, and I was like, wow, it was a lot of facts about how individuals from all over the world came to America, including Africa. So when I met you, I was like, I did not want to leave the planet, I call it the planet, until I got what I came there for, which was that particular saying. And I think I remember saying to you when I embraced you, that's okay. I'll put it on one of the globes, on an empty globe, that saying. So it was quite interesting. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because we did have that energy. And when you hugged me, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's the reason that I was really here as long as I was. I was just being used by that one particular saying.
See?
Give me the opportunity to meet you.
Yes, yes. That's a triple change,
It's
right?
a trip of change. It really is because your energy really changed. It did something to me when I met you, because when I got back to Texas, I was like, I got to make sure I don't lose her card. I'm gonna take a picture of this card. So it was good. So I'm grateful.
Let me tell you what else happened. I don't know if I told you this, but as Dana and I began to tour Ellis Island, we ended up on like the upper level, fourth floor, the upper level up there. And they had these two columns, these two Roman looking columns that were called graffiti columns. And the columns were where the immigrants would scratch notes or little sayings on it as they were waiting to be processed.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up and I said, Dana, there's your family name. B
Really?
BACH was on the column.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
How likely is that to happen?
Not too likely, but I
Wow.
think it was more or less, again, let's see this visit all the way through. There's
Mhm,
a
mhm.
purpose for everything, and sometimes we have to follow it along. We cannot
Yes.
buck it, because you never know what's at the end of that rainbow.
Wow.
Right. And so that's how I met Kim, and we exchanged information. And we definitely wanted to get her on the podcast, which we were able to do. And so I want to share this. This is Miss Kim Averhart, Travel Tips for 2022 season 4, episode 16. And what she's going to be talking about is her experience in the travel industry and some tips and things that she's willing to share with us. We appreciate you for that, girl.
Thank you. Don't mind at all.
Thank you. And now she says for years she's booked travel for herself, for her family, for her friends, and that when it comes to travel and going places, she is the go-to person. She has a passion for travel brought on by becoming a travel agent in 2008. And I know a lot of people, especially retired people, if you are into travel, she's going to share with us some ideas about becoming a travel agent. All right. So, and venturing into the known and unknown. And a lot of that unknown is when you go international. And you cannot be afraid to travel international. You're just going to have to go out there on faith and have all your paperwork and all your documents together before you leave the United States. Her personal travels have been extensive throughout the Caribbean and seeing the beautiful United States. The most rewarding part of being a travel agent is helping people fulfill their travel dreams and destinations. Allow her to assist you in planning your next experience. What's up, Kim?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Good, good to have you on the show. Now people have spent the last 2 years, okay, in the house, maybe venturing out a little bit, scared to go out. I know I did travel last year 4 or 5 times. Um, but with that 2 year period going by, now people are getting out and they're traveling and they are going various places um, that they've had on their bucket list or places that they wanted to go. And even though the hospitality industry was hit kind of hard, Kim, during the pandemic, it gave them a chance to renovate their rooms,
Yes.
add new amenities, expand outdoor spaces, and try to get the guests to come back. So in 2022, many travelers are trying to venture further and further away from home. My good girlfriend is taking her family to Lisbon, Portugal in August. And so people are going out to travel. So, you know, what's your thing, Kim, in the travel agency?
Rebound. Oh my goodness. The last, even for me, during COVID, being shut in and not traveling and used to traveling, and then it just stopped, it cut off. People was afraid. But then there was some people that was not afraid. They still traveled during COVID. They was not going to stop. They was like, no, I'm not going to stop traveling. I still want to travel during COVID. But now it's busier than ever. People that wasn't traveling is traveling. People found something in themselves when they were isolated
Right.
and didn't have no place to go. And if they didn't travel, when travel come up, I'm ready to travel. I may not never get an opportunity to do this again. We don't know if this is going to happen. So travel, people are traveling. Their families are traveling. Singles are traveling. You have single people that's traveling that don't have a person to travel along with. So I'm going to do solo. So I'm let me solo travel. So travel is up and it's up and booming, and people is just ready to go. In spite of everything that's going on now currently with the cancellations, the gas prices, um, pilots not showing up, planes being canceled, people still
Are
taking
traveling.
the risk and traveling, include me.
Okay. Okay. And so we see two things that's going on right now is that if you had purchased travel tickets back in what 2020 was it?
2020,
Right.
2020.
You have until the end of 2022, the end of this year, to use those e-vouchers, unless the airlines have extended it into 2023. And you would have to check and find out. And so, I think what we see, Kim, maybe is that those vouchers are being used and the airlines ain't
Absolutely.
losing a little money. And so now the ticket prices are just have just skyrocketed. That
Yes, they have.
to be true.
That is true. And I'm one of those persons with the travel credit that I lost during COVID. I had a travel credit for a year when my brother passed, but COVID came, so I couldn't use it. Actually, it was that April I had the year to use it, and I couldn't use it. But the airline, and I won't mention the name of the airline, wouldn't extend my credit voucher. So I lost that flight. So I encourage people, use your credit voucher, don't lose it.
Right.
Use your credit voucher, don't lose it. As cruises, I have people traveling right now on credit vouchers. Cruises, flights, use them because it's a big issue. And I don't know, I haven't seen anything to come through the newsletter where they're going to extend those vouchers. So I would recommend going and use those credit vouchers. But people are traveling now because of the credit vouchers that they had previously.
Well, where are they going? Even we're seeing an increase in travel, and so where are they going, Kim?
Cruises, New
So
York,
wait a minute. Okay, let's talk about cruises
cruises.
because cruises are inexpensive ways of travel and be able to go various places unless you
Right.
fly to Greece and take a 14-day cruise. That's totally different. But I'm seeing people either jumping off the ship or getting pushed off the ship, more often than in the past. And also, is it safe in terms of the virus?
Okay, so now I'm not a doctor. I only go by what CDC. It's just my own personal opinion. In my personal opinion, I think that it's safe. I haven't been on a cruise since COVID. I plan to go on a cruise this summer, but I've had clients that I've booked cruises and they have come back. Had clients last year, and I had several to cruise this year. In fact, I had one to come back this week and one last week. And the same thing that I get in my newsletters from our cruise critics is that all the crew members has to be vaccinated. They all the crew members wear masks. And as far as buffet eating, now I know certain cruise lines, like Celebrity Cruise Lines, they have where they serve their guest. It's not no buffet.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to change. But then there's other one that a guest just came back on, breakfast and lunch. It's buffet, but before you enter, they have crew members there to be sure that you're washing your hands.
Okay.
COVID as far as COVID is concerned, you have to be either COVID free before you could get on ship. One of my guests say they escorted a lady off because she did have COVID. They would not allow her on. So from that standpoint, as far as the hygiene of the cleanliness with the hand sanitizer, the mask, and how they serve, I think that it's safe.
Okay, so
But
they're
that's
wearing
just
masks. They're wearing masks on the ship.
some people wear a mask on the ship. You're not right now, today, you're not mandated to wear a mask unless you choose to wear a mask. It's an option.
Okay, okay, okay.
But as far as these people getting pushed off and jumping off, I don't know, Miss Jackie. You know, it was happening before COVID.
Yeah, yeah, it was happening
It was
before.
happening before COVID.
Right.
When people go out there and they drink and they fall over, maybe they get pushed. I don't know, but it was happening before COVID. And you have to realize the cruise industry is the only industry that I'm aware of that go by the CDC regulations. They're the only ones that I know that's in the industry that go. But so that's why I say that they're safe.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good information. That's good information to have about cruises. But now, if you didn't want to take a cruise, why would a person want to use a travel agent such as yourself as opposed to Kim just going online and using the online apps to book a trip?
Okay. Well, one, travel agents, in my opinion, I think we're great. I think we're great, honest people. I think for myself, being passionate to help people and get them not always the lowest price, but a quality vacation. So I always recommend travel agents or a travel consultant because they see things behind the scene that you may not see when you booking online. Some of the booking engines may not show you what we see. They may not show you in the red. Well, if you book at this hotel, you may have some construction going on.
Right.
You don't know over here at this hotel, they may not in fine print, little print, you don't see where you have to pay an additional $50 a day for a fee, a resort fee. And then when you show up, you got all these fees. But having a travel agent is just a little bit more personable. You build your relationships. You could call them. You could call me. I've had people to call me on a trip. Hey, I'm stuck in St. Thomas. My flight is delayed. I need another hotel. Being in another country, you may not be able to call that online engine or Expedia or one of those and say, hey, you booked this. Can I talk to that individual or that booking engine? So I just think that we're personal people that's willing to get out there and help our guests have a good vacation.
And it sounds and it's more personable in that if you do have a problem, you don't have to get on the phone and call a number and be on music forever waiting for somebody to come on the line. I'm sure you do. You have hours,
Yeah.
but if I use a travel agent that books everything, can find a flight, and like you said, it might not be the cheapest flight, depending upon where you want to go. You might want to have to save in order to get in business class or in order to go first class. But having a travel agent, you would know firsthand where those deals happen to be. Also, the time that it takes for you to spend on the
A
internet
lot of time.
to find the uh, good flight, to find a hotel, figure out your transportation, ground transportation while you're there, things to do, whether or not you want to do an Airbnb, because Airbnb International, you have to be very careful trying to
Yes.
Airbnb International, you fly 12, 14, 15 hours to get someplace and you can't stay there for whatever reason. And so having a travel agent might be able to help you circumvent or solve some issues a lot quicker than trying to call the several different people, the hotel, the airline.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you speaking of internationally with the Airbnb, it's happening here in the States also. And then with a travel agents have preferred suppliers. So you may be finding a supplier online that may not be a preferred supplier, that you may have, that issues may have been with that supplier, that our suppliers, the preferred suppliers, they've been checked out, so you know that that's a good supplier. Are we saying that there's going to be not going to be problems? You always going to have some little problem, but it's a preferred supplier. So you just want to be careful with some of the places that you're booking online. I've been through it. I've booked before online and thought I was getting a 5-star hotel, was not that hotel.
Yeah, that happened to us recently.
Yeah.
Where I booked. Is two things that I learned from that experience, Kim. One was that I booked the reservation, but I did not buy reservation insurance.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And so what happened was when I looked at it, it had the wrong check-in and check-out date. So within 5 minutes of calling them back to try to get them to change it, it was like, oops, no, the hotel wouldn't change it. Um, Expedia, whoever I was talking to, they wouldn't change it. And so finally, I think it was my credit card company. I got in touch with somebody and they convinced them to change it because it had happened
Mhm.
within 5 minutes. And so that's one thing you have to take into consideration when you're booking online through these agencies is that do they offer reservation insurance? That's number one. Now
Number one.
you can speak to that. Number two
Okay.
is you also have airlines when you book your flight, they offer reservation insurance. All
Hmm.
right. So the question is that really worth it?
I recommend all my guests to purchase insurance. Some people say it's not necessary. Um, in my opinion, for me, it's necessary. If you would have had insurance, it wouldn't have been a problem with you changing. Insurance, having insurance is really important, just like the COVID. I lost a trip to Spain. The insurance that I purchased, I thought I was purchasing full insurance, and that's something else that you have to be careful with, making sure that you purchase in full insurance that's going to cover your entire vacation from before you depart covered, because they have some insurance only covers you while you're traveling.
Okay.
So you ought to have insurance. That's what I want to say. You ought to have insurance. It's just like a hospital. If you get sick and you don't have insurance, you might sit outside and die because you don't have insurance. Travel is the same way. It'll save a lot.
Okay.
It really will save a lot having travel insurance.
Yeah, I
So
have been purchasing it here lately, especially since there's more
all these
flight
cancellations.
cancellations,
Mhm.
and you just never know what's going to happen. You get to the airport, and I'm gonna tell you that TSA pre-check, everybody and their mama got TSA pre-check now because the line is like
The
being in
line is
Disney World. The line be wrapped around, and it might take you 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes to go through the TSA
yes.
pre-check, but the TSA pre-check is what, $85 for 5 years. But if you invest in something like Clear, which although the Clear line was going a lot faster,
Mm-hmm.
it's $150 or $160 per year. So it depends on how much you travel in a year, whether or not you want to do Clear.
Clear or TSA. And clear, if you don't have, like what they were doing here in Dallas, if you didn't have Clear or TSA, they were registering you right then for Clear, where they was clearing them and taking them right on through because the lines were so long. So that's another good thing would be to either have the TSA pre-check or the Clear.
Right.
I don't like taking my shoes off.
Oh yeah, well, and you know what? It's just that, especially these holidays, it just be so many people at the airport that even if the TSA line is long, it's not going to be as long as the regular security. It's just
recommendations as far as like your flights and stuff. International, arrive 3 hours in advance to make sure that you don't miss your flight. Domestic, at least 2 hours. Don't go try running in the airport 30 minutes before your flight.
Girl.
They shut the door and saying you can't get on. The door is shut. And
right. You hear that bell? When the jetway bell go off, that's it.
That's it. Arrive to the airport in time.
Yes.
Take the time. Make sure you have everything packed. Make sure you have your things weighed. Weigh your buy one of those little weights that you put on your suitcase and pull it up to see how much it weighs before you get to the airport, so you don't get to the airport and say, "Oh Lord, I'm overweight."
Right.
And then
there are airlines that will charge you an arm and a leg.
Yes, they will.
And that happened to me and I'm gonna name the airline Spirit.
Oh Lord, Spirit.
I had a little travel bag, okay, and it was my carry-on. Wasn't that big. Put it on the little measuring thing, and I put it on there, and it was just a tenacious over. They charged me $50. $50. I was like, oh my God.
And you know what,
when I look at my tickets now, it's like, who am I flying with? What class am I flying under? Do they offer free bag check-in, free 2-bag carry-on? You pay extra for that. For all of that now. And speaking of paying extra, let me ask you this question. Is it a good idea to pay for first class if you're going less than 900 miles? And let me read the reason why I asked that question, because first class is not like it used to be back in the day.
It's not.
You're not sitting there with no napkin folded across your waist with no hot meal.
No, you're not.
And hot coffee in ceramic cups. They're not closing the curtain anymore.
No, they're not.
They're walking around with a basket of snacks. Okay, so the question is it worth it to pay for first class if you're going less than 900? If you paying for it, if the company paying for it, or you got somebody else paying for it, that's one thing. Because the advantage of being up front and being able to get off, I mean, that's an advantage. But come on, Kim, first class and all you get is peanuts.
Okay, girl. All right, Miss Jackie. Now listen, if my company is paying for first class, I'm a ride first class. Okay. If I'm paying for first class for what I see, I'm not riding first class unless I'm going over the pond.
Okay.
So I'm seriously going not to Mexico, not to Hawaii, not to none of the Caribbeans. I'm not paying first class.
Okay.
It's not worth it. Regular passengers go up front and they use the restroom.
They sure do, don't they, girl?
And they looking at you all sideways. Like, well, I mean,
I'm not walking all the way in the back.
Walking all the way to the back. So, if they're business travelers and their businesses is paying for them to go to first class, I mean, that's okay, but I'm not going to go to first class and pay that kind of money for the service that you get.
For the
The
service that you
service,
get.
the service is nothing like it was 15 years ago.
Correct.
It's not. And I just can't see throwing my money away like that in first class just to say I've ridden first class.
Right.
Just to say that I rode first class. No, I'm gonna spend my money on another vacation.
On another vacation. There you go. On another airline ticket. There
Yes.
you go. Right. Right. So do you enjoy being a travel agent?
I do, Jackie. I love what I do. I became a travel agent for myself because I wanted to travel. I wanted the perks. I loved traveling. My friends come to me, girl, I'll book you a vacation. My family, I'll take care of the family trip. I'll do the family reunion. So I love what I do. I do, and I love to be able to book and make somebody happy. I just booked a vacation for a couple for anniversary, and it just brought me joy. It really does, honestly, bring me joy when I see their pictures and I see that they're happy on a vacation. So
Right.
I love being a travel agent.
So you bring that spirituality to it in terms of having compassion and empathy and wanting to help people.
Yes, I do. That's
So
not what
how do you balance that with your you got grandkids, you got a husband, you got children's.
I do. I have adult children. So
I
it's
said you got them adult children's.
I do a children's. Okay, so it's a little different now. So my life balance was a little different when the kids was at home. But now when they were at home, it was a little different. So I had to make sure that family come first because you have to take care of your family. Family come first. You take care of your family. And so I always made time for my husband. We always made sure that, we had our dates, we had our family dates, we had our family travel and work. And I never put my work before my
Your family.
family.
Mm-hmm.
That don't work for me. So God is always first, always have been first in my life. So that's number one. But I never put my work before my family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my balance. I put things on calendar. I said no. I didn't get myself so because I will work and work and work and work if I didn't have a cutoff to say, you know what, I'm not going past this.
Right.
When I'm doing my travel right now, because working, I don't book anything past 8 o'clock at night because you're tired. You didn't work all day. You didn't had your daughter to come over, your son to come over, grandkids to come over, husband wanting something. So I have a cutoff. I have a cutoff, and I take time. I take the time. Always take the time for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time for my family. Set it out right here. Anybody that know me, Kim gonna go on vacation. She gonna take her breaks. She gonna take her self-care, and she gonna take care of herself.
It's absolutely necessary, because there are still places to see, okay, places to go and people to see and things to do, as the old cliche goes.
Yes.
And so, I am very grateful that I had an opportunity to connect with your spirit when we were at Ellis Island in New York
Yes. I
City.
know New York
In
City.
New
Yes.
York City. So, Kim, what has been your trip of change?
Jackie, honestly, I've been a lot of places, and I really don't know if it's because New York was a trip for my husband. We went to New York for my birthday, but it really wasn't for my birthday. It was for him. I That was on his list to go to New York. I've been to New York. He hadn't. But when we got to New York, you know how it's busy. It's
Right.
busy. But for us, for me, it just mellowed me out. I was so calm. I was so peaceful. I watched the people. Everybody was so kind. Everybody was so kind. The people at the hotel was so kind. And then when I met you and Dana at the end, that was at the very end.
Okay.
At the very end. And I was like, oh my gosh. When I saw you on the podcast in the middle of Times Square was a trip change for me. It was like I'm in the middle of Times Square.
Yes.
And I'm like, I could look every direction.
Right.
Oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing. I had never seen it like that before.
Right.
That was a change for me. It and my husband, we still talking about it.
Right. You know, we went to the East Village to the West Village. We went to Tribeca. We went to, you name it, we went. And every time I looked down the street, it was really picturesque with the trees and the brick buildings, and the people were out and the people were doing things. It was a
It
trip
was
of change.
it was.
It was invigorating. It
Yes.
was exhilarating. It kind of made you come back and want to do some things.
Yes. You said it right there. That's what it feels like. I want to do some things. I want to do some things that I'm not comfortable. This right here, what I'm doing right here, is not my comfort. This is not my comfort level. I was like a wreck, and I was like, oh Lord. So it made me want to get uncomfortable and change and do something, because I looked around and I was like, look at this. Everywhere you go.
Everywhere.
Everywhere you go. So it was a trip change for me.
Okay. Okay. Well, again, we are very glad that we met you. And if people want to get in touch with you, here's her information: Kim Averhart, averharttravel@gmail.com. And the website is evotravelagent.com, Averhart Travel. And you can email her and get additional information on how to become a travel agent. Because, like you said, Kim, being a travel agent, there's some savings behind that.
Yes,
Isn't that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am. Being a travel agent, if I'm going to go out there and book my trips, I want to get paid for booking my trips. I want to get
Okay.
paid for
You want to
traveling.
get paid.
I get paid to travel.
Yes.
I get paid to travel. So if you out there booking your flights, hotels, um, tickets, entertainment tickets, if you doing any of that booking on your own and not getting paid for it, you're just burning up money. Come
Just
on. Burning
burning
up,
up.
burning up money. You could become a travel agent for yourself. But now we want you to book. We want you to book, book vacations for others, just like I do. But I want to save money. I want to be able to travel and save money and get paid to travel. I
Yeah,
get paid.
that's fantastic. And so thank you so much for
Thank
coming on
you.
to the Triple Change podcast and talk about travel tips. Because again, it's summertime, it's right around the corner, and people are making plans to get out. And so Miss Kim brought us some enlightenment in terms of travel, and we are blessed to have you on the show. there is her contact information. If you want to book a trip, look, Kim can take care of everything. You don't have to worry about running all over the internet trying to piece things together. She could just tell her what you need, what you want, and she can pull that together. And if you are interested in becoming a travel agent, she can help you with that as well. So thank you, Miss Kim.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for having me. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yes, that was Miss Kim Averhart, travel agent, and she shared some very important tips for us. I knew I had some questions because I've been traveling. I went a few places this past year and last year, and looks like I'm going to have to use up my e-travel tickets. So I'll be looking for to go someplace toward the end of the year. So Kim, I'm going to be shouting out to you, girl, so you can help me put my trips together. So thank you so much for being on the show. Again, take care of your feet. I know we love our flip-flops. As a matter of fact, when I went to Cabos in Mexico, I had to bring me some flip-flops that have Cabos written on it, but they have to be comfortable. I wear those around the house, and maybe just running up to the grocery store, but not for doing a lot of walking. You need some very good walking shoes as you're traveling out here. So go ahead and spend the money and get you some good travel shoes. I had a couple of articles that I was going to mention. One had to do with the Green Book, where back in the day when we traveled, there was racism and segregation, and you got a car full of relatives where we had to pack our own lunch, we had to bring our own food, we had to bring our own toilet paper because we could not stop at Howard Johnson. We could not stop at the hotel, buy anything, buy food or gas. We just barely could buy gas. You could not stop at the gas station. They may or may not give you the key to use it. So the Green Book was developed to help African Americans, help Black folks that were traveling from the South to the North, to the North, to the South, to the East, to the West. Wherever you were traveling, the Green Book showed you the good places you could stop to rest, for food, for gas, for radio stations, for whatever you needed. And so this young man was talking about him being a truck driver, how some town in Texas, Kim, some town in Texas, girl, was sundown. It was a sundown town. And Black folks had to be out of the way, invisible by a certain time of night. And he didn't know that because he was a truck driver making deliveries. And so he came up with the idea that we need another Green Book. And so what I've done is on our website, I started posting information about my travel, but I'm calling it Brass Feet. Brass Feet. And so we will tell you about hotels, about cost, about various things. And so if you're out there and you're traveling and you have some information that you want to share with others to keep us safe out on the road, certainly share that with me, and you can get in touch with me here. Here's my email address: podcast host Jackie Robinson, podcast at Triple Change, and then there's Dana, the podcast co-host. And so again, we invite you to go out to the Triple Change website, also our Instagram, and go to YouTube and subscribe. So thank you so much. This has been another episode of Trip of Change, and we want you to keep smiling and take a trip of change.